Hey, I'm Brian Van, SportBikeTrackHere.com. Today we're going to break down the Armour Bodies Race Bodywork Kit install on our 2022 STG Yamaha R7. Okay, as you can see, the kit is fully installed. What we're going to do is we're going to give you a close-up look at the kit installed on the bike, and then I'm going to take it apart piece by piece, show you where I drilled, and little tricks that I used to get it to fit the bike. Let's start off by talking about how beautiful the paint and graphic work is. This is from my friend Reese Briotti at REB Graphics. You can get a hold of Reese to make your track bike look beautiful by emailing business@rebgraphics.com, or you can go to his website, rebgraphics.com, have a look at his work, and make yours look this good. So Armour Bodies Supersport Race Bodywork Kit install on our 2022 Yamaha R7. First off, there was no trimming necessary. The kit was rather easy to install. That has been the case with the majority of the Armour Bodies, actually all the Armour Bodies kits that I've done. No trimming, drill right on point on the dimple, and it fits great. If you want to go ahead and give them a nice close-up look at all the individual pieces now, Lucas. The fit and finish of the Armour Body stuff is excellent. A lot of value with this. The stuff is lightweight, it is flexible. Your painter's gonna love you because it comes fully prepped and ready to paint once you get the kit installed. Actually, oftentimes, I'll have the kits, as I did with this one. This was fully painted and the graphics were installed before the holes were drilled. I installed this after paint. That is how good these kits are. The deuce fasteners we used, only a total of 4 on this bike. You could put 3 on each side. We used 2 on each side. Reese had kind of set that up already when he was installing the graphics on the kit, so I just stuck with the 2 on each side. It worked great. We used the Armour Bodies rivet-on style. Those are the ones that I like to use the most. For the hardware, I have all these fasteners that I've purchased in various sizes from Amazon. They have a little larger head than some of the OEM ones do. Kind of keeps it nice and uniform throughout the bike, so we use that. You could just reuse a lot of your OEM hardware for the install if you don't want to go out and purchase new stuff to facilitate the install. When we come back, we're going to start to take the pieces off and break down step by step what I did to install the kit. Okay, so let's go ahead and start with the lower fairing. Like we talked about earlier, there are 2 deuce fasteners that were used on either side. On the left side of the lower, there are 2 mounting bolts used. These were drilled, and I'll show you this when I get the panel off. They were drilled right on the dimple, and they fit great. You know, what you find too oftentimes with the race bodywork is, you know, you get your initial install done, get it to fit good, get your paint work done, and when you go to the racetrack and when it sits out in the sun for an extended period of time, it just seems to, like it even just enhances the fit a little bit, right? Like when it gets nice and warm and all that sunshine. The panels are easier to work with. They're a little more flexible when they're nice and warm. There are 2 fasteners used on the right side of the lower. Along with the 2 fasteners. Here. Okay. Give you a little look inside out. And you can see these are just drilled dead center all the way around. Look at those graphics. Beautiful. We're going to lower the table down now and continue removing this kit. Before we do that, the fender, I'm not going to bother taking this off, but the fender, drilled those dead center. The fender fit great. It does have all the holes. If you want to use the hardware to install the brake lines, the over-the-fender stuff, even for the ABS mock-up, you can do that. The holes are there all in the fender. Okay, now let's move back to the tail section. These are 5mm internal hex. These are the OEM bolts. We've got the OEM seat on it now. We do have the Superbike seat base from Armour Bodies. It's not painted yet. I did install it. It fit great. It's a great option. Some people like to use the OEM seat. Others like the Superbike seat base. Off comes the seat. And here is the tail section. The tail section from Armour Bodies is done in 3 individual pieces. That makes installing the tail a little bit easier. One change I made here is in this seat support. This little panel here from the factory was held on with 2 plastic clips. I put in some riv nuts so that I could use actual fasteners. Right, that's a kit that I just bought from Amazon. You can see the quality of this panel. Armour Bodies is tough to beat. There's a ton of value with this. I mean, the stuff fits just amazing. The rest of the tail is also easily removed. Once again, you could have used your OEM hardware here. I used hardware that I had. These have these nice washers with a tapered head fastener. Got a little more surface area here to, clamp down on it. It's not quite as harsh as having the plastic there. It's not quite as harsh as the metal fastener itself would be. So that is why I use those there. There are provisions in the tail that allow you to attach it to these black pieces of trim. This tail fits so well, and it was supported by the other fasteners in a way that I didn't feel that was necessary, so I didn't bother to install anything there. To get the tail off, just kind of spread it apart a little bit. You can see here, those are drilled dead on center. The same with the other mounting holes here. Excellent quality. The third and final piece for the tail is right here. This is held on by the 2 fasteners here for the rear passenger seat support. And there are also 2 well nuts that I installed. I just didn't have the fasteners in it. I think I forgot to do that when I put it back together yesterday. My bad. But this attaches to the other portion of the tail section. And what I did there is I used these well nuts that I had. These are basically like windscreen well nuts, right? More hardware that I got from Amazon. It's a great resource for stuff like that. These side pieces of trim, these can be left on the bike. There's no reason to take them off. This makes I've seen it done both ways. I've seen people that run without these pieces of trim and people that run with those pieces of trim, I think in the end it looks a whole lot better with those on. You do what you think is appropriate. Moving on now to the upper, right? This is the biggest piece, pretty complicated part to install. What I did is we've got the two fasteners here at the back, one on either side. There are two of the plastic clips that are up front here. I reused those OEM pieces. You don't necessarily have to install those, right? It makes it a little bit cleaner, makes it fit a little bit nicer by reusing them. Up here in the front, what I did is I used the New Rage Cycles mirror block offs, just kind of a cleaner look, and I installed some riv nuts in the OEM upper fairing stay, and as we remove the upper, we'll go ahead and show you what I did there. Start by removing these plastic clips. I installed over the weekend this kit as well as the Hot Bodies kit on this bike. And we'll show you the Hot Bodies in a independent video. Excited to get this bike out there on the racetrack, hoping to get that done next month, March. Take Max for a little practice before we begin Moto America. Clips are out. We're going to go ahead and remove the fasteners that I installed back here. Now we'll come up here to the block offs. A lot of different ways to hold the fairing to the upper fairing stay. I felt for our application this was going to be the cleanest. This is a bike, I don't think we're going to be racing this bike this year. Definitely going to do some track days on it. So you want it to look good, you want it to be easy to service. I think we accomplished all that. See the mounting holes there. There were already little holes drilled there. I just made them bigger. You don't necessarily need the mirror block offs for the install, but I think they do look pretty clean on the bike. I'm waiting on my zero gravity windscreen to install the rest of the number plate that Reese included with the kit. When that gets here, we'll go ahead and do that. Now to remove the upper. We do have some of the Woodcraft frame sliders on it, right? They definitely take up a little bit of space. They fit there in the cutout. So you need to stretch the upper fairing over the frame sliders, kind of pull it forward. And then you need to stretch the upper around the fork tubes. You want to be careful with it, but the bodywork is plenty flexible to get around the brake lines. Okay. There's a little look from the inside out. You can see the holes once again drilled dead on the center. Windscreen holes lined up. I mean, the install with this was as easy as it could be. If you want to see what I did here with a fairing stay, we're just going to run the OEM one now. I don't really see a reason to put a lightweight on at this point. We got some suspension coming, some other bits to get this ready to ride. We're not going to focus too much on weight loss right now because at the end of the day, we're just using the bike as a track bike, right? It's a practice bike. Some other minor modifications that I'm probably going to make to this, I'm probably going to cut these ears off right here. These kind of get in the way with the install. I'm going to cut them off, grind them, put a little paint on it. You'll also note with the Armour Bodies kit that you're going to leave these OEM plastic air deflectors in place. And one thing to note, and this is a difference between this kit and the Hot Bodies kit. The Hot Bodies kit, you remove these, okay? If you want to come over to the other side here, you'll see on this side, the regulator is mounted to this air deflector, right? With the Hot Bodies bodywork, you will need to relocate the regulator. We'll talk about that in that video, but that is a difference between the two kits that I installed over the weekend. I thought I'd point that out right now. Obviously, with the Armour Bodies, that's a little more seamless because you're reusing these pieces that drive the air towards the radiator and also help mount the regulator in place. End of the day, what do I think? Just like every other Armour Bodies kit I've installed, the stuff is just excellent. It fits great. The quality of it from the finish on the bodywork, right, that the painter is going to paint, and even the finish on the inside of the bodywork pieces, it's basically flawless. This kit can be compared to almost any kit that is available on the market that sells for a lot more than the Armour Bodies. You're getting that premium fit and finish and flexibility at what is, in today's economy, a reasonable price. If you have any questions, leave those in the comments section of this video. I answer all that stuff myself. I'm always here to make sure you get the same result from your project that we did ours.